One of these three couples is a team of professional steeplejacks. What are your names, please?
Our names are Mary Ann
and Lee Quinn.
What are your names, please?
Our names are Mary Ann
and Lee Quinn.
What are your names, please?
Our names are Mary Ann
and Lee Quinn.
Two of these couples are imposters. Only one couple is the real Mary Ann and Lee Quinn, and are the only ones sworn to tell the truth. Now, here is our host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you each week at this time by Geritol, America's #1 tonic, the high-potency tonic that helps you feel stronger fast. And now may I introduce our panel. What is your name, please?
My name is Polly Bergen.
My name is Eamon Andrews.
My name is Donna Winter.
And my name is Hy Gardner.
It's always nice to have Eamon Andrews back with us again.
Thank you, Bud.
You folks may remember that he has visited us before, both as a panelist and as a contestant also. And at home in England, he is the moderator of What's My Line and This Is Your Life. Also, a very warm welcome to Hollywood's lovely Miss Donna Winter. Hope you enjoy your visit with us, Donna.
Thank you.
Now, these three couples all claim to be Mary Ann and Lee Quinn. Obviously, only one couple is the real steeplejack team. The other two couples have merely assumed their identity, and they are the ones who do not have to stick to the truth. Panel in front of you will find the usual copies of an affidavit. Will you please follow along while I read it? We, Mary Ann and Lee Quinn, make our living high in the air, painting and repairing flagpoles, chimneys, church steeples, water towers, and TV and radio antenna towers. We have traveled and worked in all 48 states and Hawaii. In our off moments, we give lectures and demonstrations to school groups. We are the only husband and wife steeplejack team in the world. Signed, Mary Ann and Lee Quinn. All right, panel, as you heard, these three couples all claim to be Mary Ann and Lee Quinn, steeplejack team. Only the real Mary Ann and Lee Quinn are required to answer your questions truthfully. You will each question until you hear this signal, and at the end of the questioning period, you will be asked to register your vote for the one who, in your opinion, is the real steeplejack team. Let's start tonight's questioning with Donna Winter. Donna?
Oh, dear. Mrs. 1, what is the greatest height you've ever worked?
approximately 600 feet.
Mrs. 2, if you work together on anything, who goes up first? Is it a question of ladies first?
No, the man goes up first.
Mrs. 3, how much do you charge for painting a flagpole?
Approximately $1 a foot.
I see. $1 a foot. Is that right, Mrs. 1?
Yes.
Mr. 2, if you have to climb up something fairly high, do you charge more on a windy day?
No, ma'am.
No. Mr. 1, how do you keep from falling off a pitched roof?
I hang on.
Hy Gardner, please.
You know, if this wasn't Tuesday night, I'd swear it was a glee club on the Ed Sullivan Show. This is a tough one, Dana. This is steeplejacks, I think, are the only people that we know who start at the top and work their way to the bottom. To be successful, that is. Number one, how high is 600 feet in floors?
Mrs. 1 or Mr. 1?
Mrs. 1.
Approximately 60 stories.
Approximately 60 stories. Number 2, what is the tallest building you've ever worked?
Mr. or Mrs.
Beg pardon?
Mr. or Mrs.
Mr. or Mrs. 1?
Oh, well, take
See,
your
we have
choice.
to break the couples up
Take
here.
your choice. Let's make it Mr.
Mr.
60 stories.
60 stories. Where was that, number Mrs. 2?
That was in Hollywood.
In Hollywood.
Polly?
Number 3,
Miss-
Mrs. 3. Oh, well, they make it so difficult. Mrs. 3, there's a certain way you paint a radio tower. How is that?
Well, we work from the top down.
I mean, there's a certain color you paint radio
Oh,
color.
you mean international orange and white stripes?
Number 2, it says here that you worked in church steeples. Have you ever found bats in the belfry?
Mrs. Bergen, in my business, you got to have bats in the belfry.
Number 1, do you have any specific way of painting? Like if you're on a flagpole, do you paint on the way up or do you paint on the way down?
Well, if it's 2 coats, we paint one on the way up and one on the way down.
All right, Eamon, you take it.
Oh, dear. They were all so polite to each other coming down the stairs, they all look as if they've been married. Mr. 1, would you tell me, I see here that your wife's name is Mary Ann. How do you spell Ann?
A-N-N.
Mr. 2, how do you spell Ann?
A-N-N.
Mr. 3, how do you spell Ann?
A-N-N.
Mrs. 3, what color tie is your husband wearing?
Blue with red spots on it, squares.
Uh-huh. Mrs. 2, what color tie is your husband wearing?
A gray silk tie.
A plain gray silk tie
Gray with a block on it.
with a block on it. Mrs. 1, what does pointing mean in your profession?
Pointing,
Pointing.
that's work done on bricks where you,
Mr. 3, what
At
does a
that
spider
point,
mean?
Eamon, I'm afraid we have to call time because it's time now to vote. So, panel, without consultation, will you please mark your ballots and select couple number 1, couple number 2, or couple number 3. Challenges, as you know, will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. All ready, panel? Holly, ready? For whom did you vote? Which couple?
I voted for number 1. And I think mainly because a couple of times I asked her the question and he answered, and that's sort of always like married couples.
Eamon, what about your selection?
I voted for number 3 because she was so sure of the color of her husband's tie. So,
And Donna, your vote?
Well, I'm terribly confused. I voted for number 3 because, well, they say married couples grow to look alike, and I think number 3 and her husband look alike.
Uh-huh. And High Gardner, what about your selection?
Well, I was going to vote for number 2, but they lost me when they mentioned there was a 60-story building in Hollywood. There isn't. So I went off on a limb and voted for number 1.
Number 1. All right, there you have it. The reasons we voted for the way we did and the way we voted, and I hope you're voting right along at home. Let's see how your votes compare with ours, shall we? As we discover now which one of these 3 couples is the real Steeplejack team. So will the real Mary Ann and Lee Quinn please stand up? Thank you very much, you high flyers. Now, couple number 2, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please?
My name is Billy Gardner, and this is my wife, Gloria.
And we both skate with the roller derby.
And couple number 3, what about you?
My name is Jim Lane. I'm a pilot for Eastern Airlines.
Mrs. 3?
My name is Elsa Gunderson. I'm the stewardess for National Airlines, and I never met this man before in my life.
Never knew a married couple to grow to look alike so fast.
I think they'd better get married very fast, otherwise.
They'd better. Yes, David, you have
I
a
bet
question?
she's going to meet him again, though.
Well, let's hope so. Let's check the score, and we find that there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500 from Geritol. I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, all enjoyed your visit. We enjoyed having you here. Good night and good luck. And now may we have our next team of challenges, please.
One of these gentlemen spent 2.5 years as head chef in the White House. What is your name, please?
My name is François Rissavi.
What is your name, please?
My name is François Rissavi.
What is your name, please?
My name is François Rissavi.
All right, panel, you've had a look. Now will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, Francois Risavi, am a chef. I started at 13 as an apprentice to a baker, and through the ensuing years cooked in hotels and private homes throughout Europe and North Africa. For a time, I worked on the famous Orient Express, which runs between Paris and Istanbul. The high point of my career, however, came 6 years after I arrived in America. In 1955, I was called to Washington as head chef at the White House. Signed, Francois Risavi. All right, panel. As you heard, these gentlemen all claim to be Francois Risavi, former White House chef. And let's start this cross-examination with Hy Gardner. Hy, please.
Well, number 2, what is the Geneva Society?
I don't know.
Number 1, do you know?
I don't know.
Number 3, do you know?
It was the birth of the United Nations, I suppose.
Number 2, who plans the meals at the White House?
Charles, the butler, with me.
With you. Number 1, how far from the Champs-Élysées would you say is the Hotel Georges V in Paris?
It's about 500 meters.
Well, how much is that in blocks?
It depends from which part of Champs-Élysées.
French or American?
Any part of
It's
Champs-Élysées.
George V, Avenue George V.
Number 3, would you know the answer to that in blocks?
Well, if you take the Champs-Élysées at the Place de la Concorde, there's quite a lot of blocks.
You sound more like a cab driver than a chef.
Polly Bergen, please.
I haven't been to Europe yet, so I can't get into that at all. But at number 2, it says here that are you still a chef at the White House?
No.
You're not?
I'm not.
Could you tell me, what did the president have in the morning to eat?
In the morning,
Yes.
he has breakfast.
I know, sir, but what does breakfast usually consist of, number 2?
I start at 12 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night, so I'm not here in the morning.
Oh, I see.
We'll have to leave him hungry, I'm
You
afraid.
got out of that one pretty sneaky, I
Sure
thought.
did. Heyman?
Number 1, what year did you come to America?
1949.
Number 3, what is the main ingredient in Coquille Saint-Jacques?
In cooking what?
Saint-Jacques.
I'll give you a tip. Why don't you buy my book? There are such a lot of recipes in it.
That's a nice tip, but tell me, what is the main ingredient in this dish?
In sunshine?
No. Number 1, what is the main ingredient in Coquille Saint-Jacques?
It's fish course.
Number 2, what is the main
Salad.
ingredient? Thank you. And tell me, how old were you when you came to America, number 2?
Oh, this was in 1949. I was born in 1904, so I was 45.
Making you figure it out.
Thank you, yes.
Donna, please.
Number 3, is there any food that the president doesn't like at all?
Yes, he doesn't like fish or seafood.
Oh, well, I'm with him. That's good. Number 1, what company operates the Orient Express?
Wagon-Lit.
Beg your pardon?
Wagon-Lit, Compagnie de Wagon-Lit.
Would you name some main stops of the Express, number 2?
Yes. Nancy, Strasbourg, Munich, Stuttgart first, Munich, then Vienna, Budapest.
Wonderful. Do you agree with that, number 3?
Agree.
We
That's
lost
it.
him.
Time is up, and it's time once again to vote. So, panel, once more without consultation, will you please mark your ballots and select, of course, number 1, number 2, or number 3? Polly, are you pondering or marking?
Oh, it's terrible.
Is it terrible?
Oh,
Well, for whom are you voting?
Well, I voted for number 1. Actually, it was between 1 and 2. They all answered the questions correctly, so it was a matter of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I picked 1 as Mo because he looks more quiet.
He looks more quiet.
Mo.
Heyman Andrews.
Well, I voted for number 2. The sum I worked out didn't quite agree, but he was the only one who knew what coquille meant.
And Donna, your selection?
well, I really think it's number 2, but I voted for number 3 because he looks like a very favorite man of mine, Jack Benny, whom I'd love to have cook for me any day.
And Hi Gardner, who is your choice?
Well, 1 and 3 lost me because the George Cinq is only 2 or 3 blocks from the Champs-Élysées, no matter how you look at it. And number 2 impressed me because it's nice to meet a chef. He's probably the only person in Washington who knows what's cooking.
Oh, boy. Well, all right. There we have it. Rhymes and reasons. Let's see how we do as we discover now which one of these gentlemen is the real former White House chef. So, may I ask the real Francois Risavi to stand up. Thank you, sir, very much. Number 2, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please?
My name is Jacques Juja. I'm president of Intercontinental Distributors in New York.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Charles Andre. I'm general representative of Beautin, publishers of business directories.
Well, gentlemen, there was only 1 correct vote. That means 3 incorrect at $250 each for a total of $750 from Geritol. Good night to you, gentlemen, and good luck. Now, we meet our next set of challenges in just a moment, but first, here's something for you folks at home. Now,
One of these 3 gentlemen won the top prize on Australia's biggest quiz show. What is your name, please?
My name is Barry Jones.
What is your name, please?
My name is Barry Johns.
What is your name, please?
My name is Barry Jones.
very well, panel, may I ask you to follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, Barry Jones, am a high school teacher in Dandenong, Australia. Last month, I appeared as a contestant on a radio and television quiz show in Sydney. By beating all challengers 5 weeks in a row, I won the top prize, a trip around the world. Signed, Barry Jones. Now, if you listened very carefully, ladies and gentlemen of our panel, you heard that, as usual, there are 2 people trying to deceive and only 1 claiming to be the real Barry Jones, Australian quiz show winner. We'll start this questioning with Polly Bergen. Polly?
Thank you, Bud. Leslie, if you're from Australia, number 1, could you tell me who is John Landy?
John Landy, of course, holds the world's record for the mile.
Oh, thank you. Number 1, who is Lou Hode?
Lou Ho is a tennis champion.
Number
tennis
3,
champion.
could you tell me how you spell Qantas?
Q-A-N-T-A-S.
Number 2, what does that stand for?
Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services.
Number 1, what was your category? Did you have a category on the quiz show?
Yes, the category was any, general knowledge.
Oh, general knowledge.
Eamon?
Number 3, do you know who Winifred Atwill is?
Yes, she's a piano player.
Number 3, or number 1, Australia has reputedly the longest fence in the world. What's it for?
Keep the rabbits out.
Out of what?
Our hair, of course.
Oh, I see what you mean, yes. Number 2, who introduces a radio program called Carols by Candlelight in Australia?
Who introduces it?
Number 3, do you know who introduces that program?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Number 1, do you know?
It's in Melbourne, though.
Do you know number 1?
No.
Donna Winter.
Number 1, it says that you teach in Dandenong. Now, what is the population?
It's about 20,000.
Do you agree with that, number 2?
Yes.
Number 3, does that, is that equal in size to Barbary, approximately, would you say?
Pardon?
To the town nearby, Barbary, is it approximately the same size?
No, I don't know the town you mentioned.
You don't?
I know
Would you agree with that, number one?
I think Barbary is a little bit... There's a bigger population there.
And what do you say, number two?
I didn't catch the question.
I say, is the population of Barbary about the same as Dandenong?
Where's Barbary?
Hi, Gardner, please.
Number one, you look like you come from the bush country. I would like to ask, what city is the national capital of Australia?
Canberra.
Number two, what brought Canberra into the headlines about a year ago?
Well, the National Parliament sits in Canberra, and the National Parliament is always in the headlines.
Number three, where is Sydney? In Sydney is a place called the Kangaroo Club located.
I don't know Sydney.
Would you know number two? Would you know number one?
No, I don't belong to it.
Number two, you're on a free trip around the world. About how far in miles is it between Sydney and San Francisco?
Well, it's about going on for 9,000 miles.
Now, let's leave it going on for 9,000 because our time is gone and we have to vote once again. Will you please mark your ballots, panel? And in so doing, as before, you select number one, number two, or number three. Polly, you're looking a little frantic.
I'd lost the paper.
For whom do you vote?
Well, I wish I could check with her on Barbary first.
No, you've got to vote.
Well, I don't know whether it's real or it's a phony name. If it's phony, I'm wrong. If it's, well, I voted for number three anyway, because he sort of looks like a rather quiet, shy Australian school teacher.
Eamon, how about your vote?
Well, I voted for number two. I excluded number one because I didn't think he had a real Canadian accent. I couldn't be sure of two or three, but the assurance with which two answered his questions made me vote for him.
Donna, who's your
Well-
choice this time?
That whole labor thing about Barbary, there ain't no such place.
You did make it up.
Yeah, so that means one and two. And number two, I don't think Australian teachers are shy, you know. The ones I've known are not. So I say number two.
And Hi Gardner.
Well, I voted strictly on a hunch. I think all three men are extremely intelligent, and I voted for number three because he looks less like Mr. Chips than anybody I've ever seen.
All right, there you have it. Now let's see how well we did and how well you did as well as we discover which one of these three gentlemen is the real Australian quiz show winner. So may I ask the real Barry Jones now to please stand up. Well, Donna, you did it, you see.
Well, Polly was just putting us all to shame here, you know.
Good job with that one. Now,
This is
number
one of my
one, would you
few
tell us
weeks.
who you really are and what you do, please?
My name is Peter Lamb. I'm from South Africa. I'm a portrait painter.
And number three, what about you, sir?
My name is Reginald Hill, and I'm an accountant, and I have never been to Australia in my life.
Well, it was fun, and I hope you gentlemen enjoyed it. By checking on the score, we find there were two incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500 in Geritol. Good night to you, sirs, and good luck.
Good night.
Well, I guess that's all the time we have for tonight, panel, except to say that Kitty Carlisle will be back with us next week. And so I'd like to thank Miss Winter for being with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, I did. Very
Donna,
well.
I understand your new 20th Century Picture Fraulein is being released very soon, isn't it?
Yes, in a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll all be looking for it. Thanks again for being with us tonight. And, Eamon, we'll be seeing you again next week.
Sure, I'll be back.
Good. Glad of it. And so, good night, panel.
Good
Night,
night,
Bud.
Bud.
And now this is Bud Collier saying good night from Geritol and reminding all of you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is Mark Goodson, Bill Codman production, in association with the CBS Television Network. Miss Bergen's Gown by Wilma.